Recently, I've been thinking about something quite a lot. It's how I'm from Gen Z, but I'm the oldest Gen Z. I'm 97, so I'm 27. I have a couple of months ahead of me before I turn 28. But being from Gen Z, I'm supposed to be this new generation that grew up with the internet and so on. And I can tell you that while a part of this might be true, on the opposite side, the internet was way different. And even I even remember like being in France when I was young, and like the computer was just like for like playing The Sims, and for maybe like doing a presentation at school that you would print out the sheets of, and maybe that would be the most we would use the internet and the computer for that. But otherwise, um especially when it comes to things like dating, so that's like later on, that like only like that's something that um later on, with the internet, what I saw, and maybe some of the people my age saw as well if they looked into it, was the whole like dating sphere of like Tinder, which was a thing, and now it has kind of vanished, but it's still there. It's still there. If I make Tinder now, I'm going to see people on there. Now, depending on how I design my profile, I might get no matches at all, or I might get lots of matches. So that's not only the appearance, but it's especially the pictures. It's your pictures. The people aren't judging your appearance. I mean, they might be judging your appearance on the picture, but still they are judging the picture. They're just indirectly judging your appearance. And so if you're not photogenic, or if you don't have good pictures at all, it doesn't matter like what you look. And so Tinder isn't so much about how you look. It's especially the quality of your pictures, and not to scare off the other person through weird messaging. But nowadays, like at least in 2025, to me, or like for me, Tinder is not usable anymore. I cannot use it. I cannot make use of it, at least not in Germany. And why? Because being on that app, like that has probably always been the case, but being on that app, the assumptions that come with the fact that you are on this app are so negative. The negative associations with someone who's on Tinder and hides behind his phone or his screen, and is maybe socially very uncalibrated. And if on top of that you screw up with a couple of bad messages, then it's over. Like, so it's about manipulating that first impression through pictures and a couple of simple messages. Usually the simpler the better in terms of like messaging on these apps. You don't want to come across as like someone who doesn't care at all, but you want not you want to want as someone who doesn't care about the wrong things or the right things, if you know what I mean. You want to come across as someone who is careless about bullshit, about useless bullshit. Someone, but at least to me, like the whole Tinder thing, I might have used it in the past. I got results like just like 3.5 years ago. I still had results on there towards the end of Corona, or COVID. But at this point, Tinder is dead, at least for me. Now, so this is like just like this was just like quickly covering how dating has changed with the apps, and apparently there's other apps, but I don't even want to go into these apps because of what I told you. And then the girls, the the other person is always going to question it, like question your sanity on this app, question who you cannot convey them, you cannot. That's so bad, because the first impression in real life, what it does to your consciousness and the way you just absorb impressions, is so different from what you could like make up online. Which, like, online you can only the deceptive aspect of it is maybe what I want to say, is that you will inevitably deceive the other person. You will inevitably deceive the other person, but not in a good way. Like, there's always a part of deception, because then you also need to. No one's perfect, you know. But on this, so that was just covering it. But I saw the internet change so much, and I also saw, and I'm still Gen Z, right? And I also saw like the whole fitness. So that's another like aspect of just life. The whole, like, how someone who was muscular, someone who was muscular, let's say someone who would play tennis and would have decent arms and a good back or good calves and legs, be jacked. That guy would be a tough, strong man. But with what we have now in gyms, like, you have average, like, quote unquote average guys, like random guys is what I want to say, that aren't even like real athletes, that are like surpass that, like, by far. They have big, sometimes very strong body parts, and are very strong on some exercises that suit them well. And so nowadays, with everyone going to the gym, you have a lot of potential that unfolds in terms of like muscle building and strength and stuff like that. And you also have women going to the gym, like, compared to like 10-15 years ago, it has exploded. But like real bodybuilding, however, like the real, like, mass monsters, kind of like, it has kind of disappeared. So if you used to see a bodybuilder maybe 15 years ago, a real bodybuilder that went to the gym, that guy would probably be bigger than the average guy who goes to the gym now. But just the how, like, spread it has become to go to the gym, and the inflation of physiques is also a consequence of that, is with all the social media, TikTok, Instagram, and so on. You see a guy with abs, good chest, and like very well trained, but if he's natural, he just doesn't have that shocking effect, that wow, that jaw dropping effect. So that's pretty much like you just swipe next. So that's like nothing at this point. So we should be happy just to be like functioning at the, like, just to have a healthy body is the this is what we should be thankful of. But instead, online, what we have, we're getting bombarded with all these unreachable physiques because they're not natural. And so that has changed. Something else that has changed, well, obviously at schools now, people like have their iPads, their like phones, and I also teach, and so I can see that. The language, well, the thing is, I grew up in France and now I'm in Germany, so I can feel some linguistic changes in France when I talk in French with French people, or when I go back to France. I haven't been in France this year, but I went to France last year on multiple occasions, so I'm still kind of close to France, but I'm in Germany now. And yeah, I can just tell that the also the whole, like, now what we will see is the whole like tolerant, like the whole tolerance that has been pushed in the early, like, towards like the turn of this like millennium, the all the tolerance that has been accepted, and like that and rightfully it's good, you know. Like nowadays, like maybe even 30-40 years ago, it would have been very, very frowned upon to be gay. Now it's normal, so that's good. but then they've pushed the envelope of acceptance and tolerance so much that now we see the backfire. Now we see it backfiring, and that's also sad, because people needed to make some. They always need to like go from one extreme to the other, and now what I'm scared of or about is that what we have seen in terms of acceptance and tolerance for the last, like since I was born, basically. Probably I was born like the late 90s, and all this acceptance, all this, like, you know, the Berlin Wall in Germany in 90, that has, with the reunification of Western and Eastern Germany, you know, like celebrating freedom and so on, and like doing whatever you want. Well, 30, I mean, I'm not 30 now, but I'm pushing. I will get there, and I can say that now what we see, like from at least young people, what I hear from sometimes like aged people of in Germany, what it's very very right wing, right radical ideas, very very radical ideas, very very so I don't know if that was ever always the case. Maybe I've just been brainwashed like super much, but it seems like men, and the difference in votes in Germany between men voting much more on the right, like, or to the right anyhow, than like girls that vote left. And so this like dispersity, I don't know if you call it, but this like division, we have it now. I can feel it. It's like, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. It went down like when I grew up, it was about like still pushing the tolerance. It was about pushing the tolerance, but that was good. That was something good, and we collected some fruits of that, like of these efforts that we. But then Corona came, during COVID, something messed up happened, and I still hold that statement that Corona, like COVID, I'm not saying, maybe it just accelerated things in that direction that they would already have gone. But Corona just probably has exacerbated some of the trends, some of the like dynamics that were already going in that direction. Is that nowadays you will see, like, at least like from my observation, what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, and also what I'm watching on the internet, but also what I'm hearing from people and what I'm seeing when I go out in like somewhat big cities, is that the tolerance now, it goes back. We want to go, like, we as like a society, whoever that is, but like we as like a conscious collective, we want to like go back to more like to the basics. But what are the basics? So the basics are apparently, you know, like a man and a woman and dating and so on. But then I told you the whole dating is completely messed up, what I told you about. So it's now, I feel like we're in a phase where technology, the internet, is like, it's almost getting laughed at. Like, if you're like, even if you can program, like, okay, probably I'm just really talking stupid now. This is really stupid what I'm saying, but probably even when you could program back even 10 years ago, now with ChatGPT and AI, you can have it writing out a script that you can just copy paste into the program that you're using to program whatever you want to program. Like, I don't know nothing about that, and I should actually. Maybe I should look into my courses about this. Good reminder to myself that I know nothing. And also, this video is not really to have. The only message, the only point I want to make is that the world like has, like, even though I'm from Gen Z, and Gen Z is like 15 years, so the earliest, the youngest Gen Z now, like, what do we really share? Like, we probably still share something, but these like generations of 15 years, at some point it's also they are made up. They are made up because some say Gen Z starts in 95, and I have a couple of buddies from 95, and I can even tell the difference, because when they tell me about when they were in like 6th grade and they had their first like little romance, it was different. Like, okay, my first romance, kind of like that, kind of like high school romance, like, or like even like before that, because in France it starts a bit later than, like, it's only the 3 last years of school that you call high school or lycée. And so in the collège before that, yeah, I had a couple of romances and so on, but it was about like we would have like the Converse, the slim jeans, but probably nowadays people still have them too. But then I saw a trend in Germany, like after COVID, of like large, big, wide jeans. And it made like young people look stupid. It made them look like slow. But maybe that was just my impression, because in my mind, you needed to have slim jeans, Converse, and these hoodies that were sometimes very colorful. And nowadays you don't see that. You don't see people with like flashy green hoodies that are monocolored, that have only one color, and that are just, and like these emo hairstyles, and this and sometimes chains, and now you have a lot of people who have a lot of tattoos too. You have a lot of that, but this has gotten old school already. So now what I'm seeing is also the haircuts. It's not about like undercut. Undercut is like where the side of the head, like the hair is like shorter, and then you have long hair on top. But now what they have is that they have this part like almost like a mohawk, but it's not a mohawk. It's like they have this part very, very short, and it looks like a broccoli. At least in my opinion, it looks like a broccoli. And sometimes they have these wide jeans, and they have this like yeah, this posture too. But then like probably it's because I'm getting old, probably because when I was young, I heard like older people say, yeah, but 90% of young people have that hooked forward, like these like posture of like the hooked forward shoulders. And I thought, really? Well, yeah, because now when I go down the street and I look at some like kids that at the bus station, they have that demeanor where I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, I'm happy I'm not like that. I'm happy I'm not like that. But maybe that's what other older people thought of me when I was young. So I'm pretty happy of just like the age I am at, because I'm at an age where finally people can take me seriously enough. Like 27 and a half. Yeah, that's what I needed, 27. Because before that, sometimes women are sometimes more mature at an earlier age. And I felt like, I don't know, I felt like sometimes I was very mature at an early age. Like probably like I had some very insightful, very intelligent, very, very elaborate, like very wise thoughts and like ideas when I was like probably 17, 19. But I was too young to even, like, international maturity is 21. And I feel like at 27, I've now reached an age where I'm like, oh, okay, I want to stay young, whatever that means. Stay young, stay cool, you know. But that's like, because before now, I always wanted to be older. How can I be older so that people can think that I'm older? But now I've reached a point where I'm old enough that I want to seem younger, so that people won't ask me my age. I'm almost like, damn, like, and now I will also say that I'm 30. That's what I will tell people when they will ask me about my age. Not in a serious situation, but just like in a random situation, I might tell them that I'm 29 and that I will turn 30, just to see their reaction. To say like, yeah, I'm so old, dude. I'm very old. Okay. I think I will like, this is like the kind of way I will like end this video soon now. It's like, I'm very old, dude. Yeah, but dude, I don't mean to interrupt you, But you have to consider and keep in mind that I'm very old, dude. Yeah, I'm old. I'm old.